because Supervisor John Gioia has joined us, and we wanted to give him his time to share with us the state of Contra Costa County. Supervisor Gioia represents West Contra Costa County, where a lot of you are from, and he's going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the state, in the county, and things that you should know about. And we'll have a few minutes to ask him questions as well before we move on to the agenda. He has 7 minutes, and we'll be timing you and ringing the bell once when you have 1 minute left, and then twice when you're done. And then if you're willing, we'll open it up for a few comments. So without further ado, here's Supervisor John Gioia.
Thanks, Jody, and thanks to all of you for being involved and continuing to be good advocates, especially during this really difficult time. And I think there's a lot at stake for voters, especially for seniors in the upcoming election. Let me say a few words. I don't need to tell you that these are really trying times. We're dealing with the pandemic, plus fires and smoke, and budget issues. So many families have been impacted by the pandemic. Our own health department has been on the front lines, working with local hospitals and providing more testing. In fact, we want everyone to be tested. We opened up a new test site a little while back outside of the Richmond Auditorium in the parking lot. And that's in addition to the county's health site in San Pablo. There's other test sites all around the county as well. And you don't need symptoms to be tested. And we now have an ability at a number of our sites, including the one in Richmond, for just walk-in testing where you don't need an appointment. So I'll do a shout out to our folks from West County who are on this call and urge you to go to that site. We've been pretty much following the state's orders more recently. The counties our own health officers have individual orders, but we've been following the state. While more has opened up, and that's good, that's because hospitalizations have gone down. So we are over, it appears, a more recent surge that happened, but our health officers are concerned about what will happen this fall. Especially with flu season coming on. So we also ask and urge everyone to get their flu shots, especially seniors. And the county public health will be starting a flu clinic soon. But getting your flu shots through your provider is really important. Part of the issues, we don't know when people get sick, who has the regular flu and who has COVID. So that there's concern about what will happen, which is why precautions still need to be taken. And the most important thing to do is wear a mask if you go out. And if you're sick, stay home, and definitely get tested. So a few things happening at the county. We have spent over $100 million between March and into July dealing with the pandemic. Our own budget impacts, our federal and state revenue sources have been impacted. We expect that there will be more financial demands from families. The response from the federal government has been totally inadequate. There are more resources needed at the state and local level and for government and for families. While we've continued to fund many nonprofits in our own county who are doing vital health and social services work along with our own county staff, there needs to be more help. We've continued our own, we have a eviction protection or ordinance in place countywide that formed a rent freeze. There was a rent freeze that went into effect everywhere in the county. We will be taking up an extension of part of that to the extent we can under state law, and that'll come up at a board meeting in about a week. One of the things we are doing, Contra Costa is really one of the only counties in the Bay Area that does not have its own local sales tax. For example, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Alameda, San Francisco, all have local measures like sales taxes that go to county government. We do not. Many cities do. So we actually did place on the ballot, and it's supported by a number of community organizations and labor unions, a half-cent sales tax measure called Measure X that would provide, in pre-COVID times, $80 million per year to county government. County government is the social safety net. We're the healthcare system. Cities don't do that work. So we did a needs assessment with community members. I should say they did the needs assessment that identified the importance of more funding for health, for paramedics, for first responders like fire, for the social safety net, which includes children and seniors, and for housing related issues. Those were identified as the greatest needs for us, and it's on that basis that we also put Measure X on the ballot this November that requires a majority vote. Voting in general is really top on our list, and our elections department will be mailing ballots to everybody. You have the option of either mailing the ballot back, there's no postage required, or there will be, and we'll have this, we will be publicizing the location soon. There will be ballot drop-off boxes throughout the county, and there will still be a large number of polling locations. Maybe not as many as in prior years. And again, all of that will be out soon. There will also be opportunities for early voting. For those of you, I know on my own email list, we have a large list of West County and many countywide folks. We will send that out. Our elections office will be publicizing this, and anything you can do to publicize it when it's out would be helpful, because essentially you'll have a chance to vote ahead of time at certain locations. Like in West County, it's been at Richmond City Hall, El Cerrito City Hall, where you can vote the weekend before, possibly the week before. You'll have locations to drop off ballots, or you could mail your ballot. All of those options will exist. We really want to get the message that get your ballots back as soon as possible. But I can tell you, every ballot we get will be counted. There's going to be a lot of attempt nationally by President Trump to not want to count ballots after Election Day, where he's already saying that in other states. But California has a history of having vote by mail in which all ballots are counted, and that will happen again. So those are highlights. And I do want to say, I know you may be hearing from others, including our State Superintendent, Tony Thurmond, on Prop 15. Prop 15, Schools and Communities First, will provide more funding to local government and will not impact residential properties. And you'll assume you'll hear more about that. And that will mean more funding for our programs, social service and health programs in Contra Costa. So I'd like to use the rest of the time really to answer your questions. And our Board of Supervisors has taken a position in favor of Prop 15, just to note, as well as our own, we support our own measure.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. We have time for a couple of questions, and Susan, if you want to ask folks to raise their hand, *9 if you're on the phone, and raise your hand if you're on Zoom.
Question.
Yes, Eli. Yes.
Is Richmond City Hall going to be one of the drop-off places for the ballots?
Yes, I have it. We'll get all the locations out, and you will also be able to drop off at a polling location as well. So again, we will have all of those out soon, and those will be well publicized, and so there'll be places even more convenient than going to City Hall.
Okay, thank you much.
We have a question from Susan Hammer. Susan, you need to unmute.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I noticed in the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that you had either already approved or put on the ballot a sales tax increase. I
Yeah.
personally think these unduly affect seniors who are on a fixed income. I'm getting a little worn out with all the parcel taxes, the raise in county taxes, et cetera. Because every time a city, county, or state or whatever gets a raise, so to speak, seniors do not. We do not get raises, especially those of us like me who are in the federal family. Our COLAs are prescribed. They're not even the same every year. So, I would just like you to keep in mind, or if you want to comment on how tax increases like this really,
Sure.
I think, unduly impact seniors.
So let me just say, we've done a lot of polling of what we could pass. It's not our fault that many cities put their own sales tax measures on the ballot. We don't do that. All I can say is the Contra Costa County has zero sales tax measure that we've put on the ballot for ourselves, unlike other counties and cities. And unlike cities, we actually fund senior services. Unlike cities, we fund social services. Unlike cities, we fund health services. So I think seniors stand a lot to gain. I mean, that measure, if you took $80 million and divided it by the 1.1 million residents in our county, that's under $80 per person. But if you look at who pays it, actually, if you're a senior, it is most likely it's less than that per year, because folks who are buying a car are paying more. So the sense is, even if you averaged $80 a year on a half-cent sales tax for every single person who lives in Contra Costa, the actual expenditure from that sales tax is going to benefit seniors from a health and social service standpoint. And so all I can say, I think that is why we actually have a number of social community organizations that serve seniors endorsing our measure. If any of you know Debbie Toth and her organization in Pleasant Hill, they were one of the main advocates for this because they saw that seniors will get a benefit from it.
We have one more hand raised. That's Bebon.
John?
Yes.
Oh, that's not me. That's
We,
Babon.
That would be me. I'm curious about the dropping off the ballots for the election. So, for instance, seniors who can't necessarily get out and get to the post office, is there a procedure where, say, a church group or nonprofit group could collect them and drop them off at the city hall or the drop box, or is that some legal entanglement?
Yeah, we will talk to our elections office to come out with all the guidelines about that, so it's clear to everybody how all that works. So
Okay.
they'll do that, and we can make sure. And I know for those of you who are involved helping with others on voting, we will do that. We will provide that.
John,
Yes.
this is Naomi.
Hey,
You
Naomi,
was talk-
let me
Hi.
put it up so I can see you. I want to. Oh, okay, there you are.
I'm on the bridge, so
I
if I
see
keep
it.
moving,
Yeah, I
that's
see
the
the
wind.
bridge. Yes.
Okay. You were talking about the sale tax,
Yes.
and when I noticed what you say is county, will the city get any of the money that's going into the sale tax?
Let me just say, residents who live in our cities get the money. We're not giving money to cities and trusting how they
No,
spend it.
that's what I mean. It will
Right.
come to the people that live in the city and not
Oh,
the
yeah.
county part.
Yes, right. In fact, it's used countywide. I mean, look, as you know, the cities have their own sales taxes that they use for many other things.
Right.
Our money will go for the services we provide wherever you live, whether it's in Richmond or North Richmond or Bay Point or San Ramon or Antioch, so whether you live in a city or unincorporated area, there's the benefit. And so to the extent social services and health benefits the people who live in our cities benefit from that.
Okay.
And that will conclude the questions and answers. No more hands raised.
Great. And if I don't know if he's on yet, I would say hi to Tony Thurman, our great state superintendent of public instruction.
Yes.
He's
He's
not
gone
here
yet?
yet. He's
Oh,
not
okay.
here yet. He'll be here in about 5 more minutes. So if
All
you
right.
can stick around, that's
Tell him I
great.
said hi. And
I
is he
will.
speaking on Prop 15 as well, supporting
Yes.
Prop 15? Good.
Yes.
Yes, tell him our board took a position for Prop 15. I've been speaking on it in other. I can't tell you from a local government perspective how important that measure is from a local government perspective.